doesn't represent the Republican Party or its values. His views are way out of the mainstream of what Republicans think.
Jeb Bush ripped Donald Trump once again, this time over his I Love Hispanics Taco Bowl tweet. Jeb said it's insensitive and said, quote, "It's like eating a watermelon and saying I love African Americans."
That'll light up the Twitter.
But Trump is rising in the polls, and he's now leading Hillary Clinton in the latest Fox poll. We'll show you why.
And you can tell them to go themselves.
Clinton supporters just launched the first attack in the ad wars earlier than they had planned, and we have a special guest for perspective. Our former anchor, John Wilson, is back with My View Now. Senator Marco Rubio will also join us to explain his support for Trump and the Zika health crisis here in Florida. Plus, Charley Belcher rolls out the gaffes of the week. This is Money, Power, and Politics.
Donald Trump said he does not have pollsters, that he does not want to waste his money on pollsters, and after that, he hired a pollster.
Whiplash.
But he didn't just hire any pollster. He picked a Florida guy who helped Rick Scott take off 6 years ago because Donald Trump wants to be like Rick Scott.
Say it again.
I said he wants to be like Scott in the sense that Scott came out of nowhere when the party establishment was not sold on him and won the ultra battleground state twice.
I think Donald Trump is going to have a big win in Florida, and I think he'll have a big win nationwide.
And that's where Trump has reconsidered his stance on hiring his own pollster, because you can't always trust the numbers that float around in the media.
If you look at all the polls and try to find the mean average of them, I think more often than not, you're going to be wrong.
Well, most of the public pollsters have been wrong, in part because a lot of people these days do not like answering their phones, and we can all relate to that. We're calling John McCain now to work into a discussion on polling.
It isn't just Iraq.
Hello?
Certainly Iraq is part of it, but it's not just Iraq.
Hello?
It is certainly other parts.
Plus, more people are cutting their landlines, and most of the pollsters depend on robocalls, which by law can't reach the cell phones. It's led to declining response rates and a higher rate of error.
It's been a bad night for the pollsters.
Last year, the pollsters missed badly in Great Britain and Greece and Israel. And remember, back in 2012, Mitt Romney was dancing in the streets because the Gallup polling suggested he would win.
Man, you definitely got Romnesia.
Well, Trump does not want that, especially after what Romney's been saying about him.
A business genius, he is not.
So by hiring his own pollster, Trump will have more perspective on where he stands with different samples. For example, there's a theory that Trump does better in automated polls because when a live caller asks questions, some people may not want to admit that they like Trump.
In the history of the Republican Party, nobody has ever gotten more votes than I've gotten in the primaries.
Yes, Republican turnout is up more than 60% since 2012, but we still don't know how that will translate to November. So Donald Trump knows he needs to win Florida, and he hired the man who helped Governor Scott win Florida twice, in a state that's tough to poll and often very hard to predict. Well, bad connection, but we also happen to have Governor Rick Scott's phone number here. We're going to call him, see what he has to say.
Somebody is calling. I don't know who it is.
Okay, well, let's try Senator Pat Roberts. I just saw him at the Frozen Sing-Along at Disney. I know he'll pick up.
Graphic preference issue.
Ah, come on.
Hello?
Just let it go, Mr.
Well, keep in mind the experts don't rely on poll numbers this far out. They use the polls to track movement, and the movement, at least for now, appears to be favoring Trump.
As Donald Trump was wiping out his Republican rivals, they claimed he would surely fizzle.
Well, he's not going to win the nomination. It would be a catastrophe for the Republican Party.
Donald Trump is not going to be the nominee of this party.
He's not going to be the nominee.
Donald Trump is not going to be the Republican nominee.
Donald Trump is not going to get the nomination.
Folks, Donald Trump is not a serious person. This is a carnival act.
Then when he was the last Republican standing, that said he'd get clobbered by Hillary Clinton. But polls now show Trump is nearly tied with Clinton in key swing states. He's leading in Ohio, and he's closing the gap in national polls because several things are now working in Trump's favor.
We need a political revolution.
Sanders is still going after Hillary Clinton from the left while Trump is attacking her from the right. She's getting caught in the squeeze while tempers flare within her own party. Meanwhile, much of the Republican Party is falling in line with Trump and shutting down talk of a third-party challenge from the right.
This is a suicide mission. It is not right.
Also, criticism of Trump continues to backfire. The New York Times accused Trump of crossing the line with women for doing things like asking a model to wear a bikini at a pool party.
I did not have a negative experience with Donald Trump. He was very kind, thoughtful, generous. He was a gentleman.
And while more Republicans are rallying behind Trump, Clinton is mired in a lingering dogfight with Sanders and a lingering FBI investigation over her email controversy.
By the way, we also have our pollsters for Fox 13 and Fox 35, and so far they've nailed it this year. Bloomberg ranked Matt and Matthew Towery in the polls they've done for us among the most accurate in the nation. They scored an accuracy rating of 91%.
Coming up, Marco Rubio returns to money, power, and politics. We'll ask him about his fight with Donald Trump, his battle with Republican leaders in Congress, and his future plans.
He scammed the people of Florida.
Marco Rubio is in an awkward position with Donald Trump.
He is a con artist. You all have friends that are thinking about voting for Donald Trump. Friends, do not let friends vote for con artists.
But now Rubio says he'll vote for Donald Trump. Meanwhile, back in the Senate, Rubio has challenged leaders of his own party. He wants to spend more money fighting the Zika virus, which causes severe birth defects and is transmitted by sexual contact and by mosquitoes.
This problem can't wait, and it shouldn't be a partisan fight. Combating Zika is an appropriate use of public dollars.
Rubio supported the president's plan to spend an extra $1.9 billion fighting this. The Senate countered with $1.1 billion, while the House dialed that back to around $600 million to be shifted from existing funds.
I don't think a disease of this magnitude, with this level of risk, is one that we should be playing games with.
Well, Senator Rubio, if the House does not budge here, what specifically does this mean for Florida?
It means we're vulnerable. I mean, the bottom line is the House is proposing funding $600 million from now to September. It's not the same. Ours is from now through next year. It's the whole budget year. So there's a part of the difference. But I just think that's not a good approach. To do it from now to September, then it means we're back in the same debate about what do we do with Zika long term. You know, living in Florida, the mosquito season, the warm months, they extend well beyond September. So my hope is that they'll see the light and at least meet the Senate $1.2 billion number.
And in the presidential race, tell us how you can support Donald Trump now. After all of this, after calling him a dangerous con artist who would do catastrophic harm to your party and pose a serious threat to the future of our country.
Well, look, what I've said is I'll support the Republican nominee because Hillary Clinton can't be president. I think she's terrible. That's how bad she is. That said, you know, bottom line is that my differences with Donald remain. I stand by everything I said in the campaign. We have significant policy differences. I have incredible reservations about the way he's conducted his campaign, and that's why I've said that he's probably better served with a running mate and with campaign surrogates around the state and country that agree with him on these issues. They don't want me out there because our differences are just too big. But I'm not going to support Hillary Clinton, and right now there's only two choices on the ballot.
Beyond the differences, though, you said you stand by what you said, so you still think that Donald Trump is, in fact, a con artist?
Yeah, look, I stand by what I said during the campaign. I haven't changed my opinion, and my differences, particularly on policy, forget about the other stuff for a moment, on the policy stuff, there are significant differences, but I have even bigger differences with Hillary Clinton, and I'm not going to support her. I don't want her to be president of the United States. I think she would be really bad continuation of the policies we have in place now.
What if a fellow Republican that you like and respect mounts a third-party run and has ballot access here in Florida? Would you still support the guy you call a dangerous con man?
Well, that's a pipe dream. You're giving me a theoretical or even something that's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. The way the system is designed in the individual states, there's not going to be a third-party run. We had a Republican primary. Voters voted, including in Florida, my home state. I didn't win. He won. And that's why we have these primaries. At the end of the day, the voters made this decision. And there's something to be said for that, even though I disagree with it. Certainly, I didn't want him to be the nominee. I wanted to be the nominee. That's why I ran.
At this point, for you, why not reconsider running for re-election, given all the important work that you're doing right now on Zika and the other issues that you would surely leave as unfinished business?
It's been an incredible honor to serve the people of Florida, and I'll continue to work hard till the end. I said when I was running for president that I was going to focus on one race. I wasn't going to have my hand in two pots when it came to that, and other people have now filed and are out there running. Ultimately, I think Florida's going to be an important state to keep control of the Senate and prevent Chuck Schumer from being the majority leader of the U.S. Senate. So At this point, I'm just going to stay. That's the decision I made about a year ago, and I don't think it'd be prudent at this point to change that.
Senator Rubio, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Coming up, John Wilson brought us the news and perspective in his My View segments for many years, and now he's accepted our invitation to bring us more. We'll call it John Wilson's My View Now.
I'm John Wilson. Good night and farewell.
I'll never forget the night John Wilson signed off. He brought us the news from Florida to Normandy to Moscow for more than 50 years. CBS had Cronkite, we had John Wilson, and his signature My View segments. And I remember something he told us that night he retired.
Until we meet again, but we surely will.
Well, it's time to meet again, and it's time to roll out our new segment with our special guest.
This is John Wilson's My View Now.
And here he is, John Wilson. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation.
Am I lost?
No, you're not lost. You're in the right place. You surely are. My View Now. What do you think?
I think we've got so much to talk about here, Craig. First, thank you for inviting me back. I really appreciate that because there's so much to talk about here. Look what shape we've got politics in, what shape the state is in, the country, the cities. I feel really uncomfortable with a lot of this that everybody is struggling through, and I think that's one of the reasons Donald Trump, I think, is so popular. He's appealing to that particular segment that says something is wrong here. We've got to fix it.
Have you seen anything like this?
No, nobody has, and everybody I've talked to, and that's one of the first things I ask. The veterans, give me some help here. Where's this going to go? Nobody knows where this is going. Nobody, because the rules are we've thrown the rule book out. The electorate that's out there, we don't know who they are. We really don't know. We had all those 93 million that didn't vote in 2012. We want to know, are they coming back? And it may come back twice as large as it was before, because he may turn out an incredible vote. She may as well. It's really curious to me that we've got, and I hate to put it this way, but since I can, I will say it. We've got the lesser of evils here. That's our decision to make. How do we decide which is the lesser? We've got problems with both. Problems with Donald Trump, a lot. It's stacked up that high. Problems with Hillary Clinton, it's stacked up that high. Here they are. I want to see a lot of expose on Donald Trump. I'm glad 20 reporters are working on him. I want to make sure they work on Hillary Clinton too. But we know more about Hillary than we know about Donald Trump.
If their baggage is stacked this high on both sides, could that also depress turnout and have a lot of people say, they don't like either choice and just stay home? And you don't see the kind of numbers that you saw in 2008 or 2012 for that matter.
It could happen exactly that way. I pray it's not going to take place like that. What we don't want to do is turn the electorate off. To some degree, that's already happened and has been happening for a period of time. The numbers are depressing when you start looking at how many voted in the last, how many voted in the preceding election, and the election before that. The numbers are going down, not up. So now we have this unusual mix of these two candidates here.
To unify the party, does Donald Trump have to bring the party together, or can he unify by winning the White House, then going from there?
We don't know a lot of things here. One is he says he doesn't need to unify the Republican Party, his own party. Well, that says a lot right there, and he may be right about that because he's going to draw votes from outside the Republican Party, a lot. So I don't know what to expect. I don't know where we're going to go with it.
Let's look at Jeb Bush, who attacked Donald Trump hard on that Taco Bowl tweet, where I believe Jeb Bush said what Trump did was insensitive in this. He said, first, not all Hispanics are Mexicans. Not all Hispanics eat tacos. Showing your insensitivity by eating an American dish is the most insensitive thing to do. But that's not all. He said it's like eating a watermelon and saying, I love African Americans.
They've got to quit talking like that. They've all got to quit talking like that. And you see Trump toning it down already. Jeb, I've known Jeb for a long time, and we went through a lot together. The Lawton Childs debate, I remember it well. He got eaten alive in that debate. But he came back. The lesson here in politics is that you're not terminally damaged. You can't, Jeb Bush is a good example. So is Marco Rubio. He can come back like Jeb Bush did. Jeb Bush got beaten by Lawton Childs, but Jeb Bush came back and became governor. Marco Rubio, he could do the same thing. He could come back and be your next governor.
Or president in 2020, who knows?
You're taking
You laughed. You laughed.
No,
So
I don't mean to laugh too much on that because
No.
he was seriously damaged.
Yeah.
You know, he carried only 66 counties out of 67. He carried only Miami-Dade. He's got work to do, but he can do it. It's politics. It's what politics is.
John, thank you so much for your time.
Craig, you're welcome.
Take care.
We'll bring you more perspective from John and the rest of our team on YouTube. Search for Craig Patrick's Money, Power, and Politics. Subscribe to our channel and follow along. You'll also find satire, humor segments, and hard news investigations you may have missed. Coming up, Charley Belcher will join us to roll out the political gaffes and doozies of the week.
Hello, this is Craig. Yeah, Mr. Trump? Yeah, I'll be right there. Bye.
He gets the coolest phone calls. Oh, look at that. He left his email up. Well, Craig's a pretty busy guy. I'll help him. I'll help him return his emails. All right, let's see. Craig, we regret to inform you that your request to be added to the Mr. T fan club has been denied. We've watched your show and just don't think it's a good fit. Ouch. Dear Craig, milk, eggs, a loaf of bread, super glue, and a machete. Thanks, I love you, Mrs. Patrick. Odd, I guess that's his wife. Weird that she signs it Mrs. Patrick. Craig, do you really think Trump can win? Bill from Tampa. I happen to know the answer to that, Bill. Craig says if he gets the most votes, he will win. That's why Craig has his own show. Dear Craig, who do you think will be the Democratic nominee? Susan from Valrico. I've talked about that with Craig too. Craig thinks it will be Sanders or Clinton. Doug says, thanks for explaining all this stuff, Craig. You are the best. When it comes to explaining stuff, I don't know about best. He's good. This one is from Gunther. Mr. Patrick, rah-rah for the media left me cold. It may be true journalists work very hard, many in dangerous situations, to get realities out. What Mr. Patrick omits is the management, the editors, who are mandated by their sponsors to censor out vast amounts of critical information. You raise a good point there, Gunther. I mean, they really let me say whatever I want to. For instance, you know what I really think of this station? I think it's... Right? I mean, you know where I'm coming from. Moving on. Dear Craig, I'd really like to see more Charley Belcher on your show, Money, Power, Politics. Signed, Charley Belcher's mom. Thank you, Mom. Craig, please contact me immediately. You've been named as the beneficiary in a will of a Nigerian prince. Just email me your bank account number so we can transfer the money to you. Well, since Craig's not here, you are getting my bank account numbers. Sorry, Craig. Looks like I win that one.
But well, wait, Mr. Trump!
Mr. Trump, hey,
These idiots on
where's
television.
He just left.
Give me a break.
He just left.
He's watching the Charley Belcher bit. He wasn't very happy about it.
What Belcher bit?
The one that's on TV right now.
It's on now?
Yeah.
What's he doing?
Making fun of you.
Oh,
You're fired.
Let's see, one more here. Dear Craig, it's from Amazon. Your order has shipped. Season 2 of Cagney and Lacey on VHS should arrive by Monday.
That's a gift.
Oh.
Meg Foster, isn't she great?
He really should get a DVD player.
So...
I was just helping you. I know you're busy.
Sure.
Got a mailbag there, and I thought I'd go through it for you.
We're trying to go through the gaffes of the week, too. You want to help me out with that?
I'd love to.
How about this guy, this conservative congressional candidate from Virginia? He posts a screenshot of his webpage, but he forgets to X out of the porn tabs at the top of the browser.
Oh, any man with a computer should know how to delete a history.
Okay, speaking of history, option 2, President Obama's commencement speech.
Yes, I didn't see it.
Well, he basically said just don't go out and say a bunch of dumb stuff.
Oh, but I think he has done that.
Take a look.
In politics and in life, ignorance is not a virtue. It's not cool to not know what you're talking about. And they got some treatment and a breathalyzer, or an inhalator. On this Memorial Day, as our nation honors its unbroken line of fallen heroes, and I see many of them in the audience here today. I've now been in 57 states.
In the president's defense, I've made a fine career of saying dumb things.
Yeah, I think I have too.
Yeah.
So that brings us to option number 3.
Yes.
And this is the big one. Did you hear what Governor Rick Scott said about Darrell Issa?
Darrell Issa?
Yeah, the congressman from California. Boy, Rick Scott, you would think that they're on the same page, the same team.
Right.
They're both Republicans, but he said some really terrible things about Issa.
Really?
He knows we have to build up a military. He knows we have to destroy ISA.
Oh, I think he's talking about ISIL. I mean ISIS. ISIS, ISIL, ISA.
But not, but not Issa?
No, I think the terrorist group.
Oh.
The terrorist group.
Well, that explains Issa's response when I asked him about it.
Are you stupid?
Well, those are 3 good choices, but speaking of stupid, I think my vote has to go to gaffe number 1, the guy leaving the browser up. Yeah, that's my vote for the gaffe for the week.
Well, we want to know what everybody else thinks too, right?
There you go, and the best way to be a part of Craig's mailbag, and maybe even I'll read your comment, both pro or con. You can like us or hate us. We just appreciate you watching. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Twitter, on Facebook, and you can even email Craig directly. There it all is, right there on your screen. Memorize it. Remember, the show plays again on YouTube. We'll play it a couple of times Saturday. Craig gets paid every time it plays, so we try to play it a bunch here on Fox 13.
Charlie, thank you for your time.
Thank
We're
you,
going to
sir.
have you back again and again and again. Thank all of you for watching, and we will see you next week.